today we will meditate on a very interesting verse. So today is going to be a very interesting one. So I believe that this verse that we are going to meditate and going to look at will surely change our perspective of our lives. So it's going to be a game changer and a change of a perspective in all our lives. So how many of you have run a race? How many of you have run a race, running race? Running race? So everyone has run somewhere, maybe near your streets, in schools, colleges. So maybe in your schools you would have run a race. Maybe in your sports day you would have probably run a running race. Or if at all you study a college or any other thing, so you would have probably run a race there. So before asking you all these things, all these questions, so I would like to ask you all that. How many of you like to run a race? How many of you like running a race? No one. Huh? You don't care about the sports? Scared. Okay. So for some of us, running a race and being part of it, it's kind of terrifying thing, a scariest thing. And really, how many of you love to be part of running? So you would have wished to run a race. So of course, everyone in some or the other situation, we would have run a running race, and that would be very much interesting. And when we run a race, we exactly don't know what happens inside of us, right? Something that happens inside of us, but we also see something happens, kind of a butterfly flying, kind of scariest thing, all emotions mixed together. For some people it will be a very interesting thing. For some it will be scariest thing while running a race. Maybe we will fall down, or we will become this, or we will lose this race, or kind of thing. For some people it's just a time pass, just running a race. So when we run a race, something happens inside of us, and today we will listen to a sports message. This message is, as I have told you before, it's interesting verse and interesting meditation. Today we will listen to a sports message, and this message might be entirely different from what you have thought. So I personally love sports, and there are many sports that I personally love, and I thought what to preach today. So as all these days, right from the Monday to till Friday, I was just thinking about what to preach. So last week we saw about follow the cloud, and you must have seen in the YouTube. And this week I was very much hopeless about what to preach. I was just kept on thinking about, and suddenly God just put this in my heart. So I was very much happier after I received this verse. So this is what I am going to preach. So that we are about to meditate today. And before I begin the message, I just want to reveal you all about my sports. So what I have played in my school life. So I was a fellow that who always loved to be in the field. So I don't prefer to go to attending lectures and reading subjects. So I was very poor at the time, but I loved sports very much because it is practical. So it will be a great field. We will just walk or run or jump or crawl inside a big space. So ground, we will go to ground and have many different things to do. So I personally loved many sports, not just one or two, but I loved many sports. And I usually don't prefer to play indoor games. Right from my childhood, I don't prefer, or I don't even like to play indoor games or mobile games, so or any quiet games that are very like chess, carom, and other things. So I don't prefer to play that because it is very silent. It's a very quiet game. I don't like that. So I just love to just crawl on the ground, just jump here and there, some good exercise. So today's children, when we look them, we see people, little children, they start to play games on their mobiles, even when they are even more, very much younger, like kind of 1.5, 2. So at that age itself, they are starting to play games, but they play games on the mobile, and that is at the end it gives a result of it gets addiction. So it makes those little children getting to get addicted in that game. So usually I also don't prefer to play, as well as tell the little children and their parents not to give mobiles. So just for a refreshment it is okay, fine, but playing for hours together, it is very dangerous for us, and it is very dangerous for all our nerves and the other operating system that is inside of us. So this game addiction is kind of a cruel ending. So it just at the starting stage, it does not do any harm at the beginning, but as children play and get addicted to the mobile games, so you would have seen many news, so how psychologically these little children are affected, and how their minds are getting disturbed with all the kinds of graphics that are put in. So coming back to my story, so I played almost every sport because of the nature of the sport. So I loved and I liked the nature of the sport. So if we look at any sport game, it gives us energy, right? It gives us enthu, it gives us energy, it gives us strength and a free mind. Yes, when we go step out from our home and step out from a classroom and play some game, it gives us a refreshment, it gives us enthu, a strength and a good free mind. So, and we also see people who play more sport also focus much in things in personal life, maybe in careers, in studies, etc. But because the nature of the sports is that it allows us to choose the next move. So in studies we just have only limited scope of freely moving, because whatever teacher teaches or whatever is there in the book, that we have to, of course we can write on our own, but the content and the message should be the same. But in sports we can choose to dive, or we choose to run in this method. We can fix a method for ourselves. So that is one interesting thing. And after playing any sport, we feel relaxed, sometimes tired, sometimes it may be a simple game, but we get a feel of achieved something greater. So all these emotions and things comes inside of us. And I have played cricket, football, basketball, volleyball, and I don't really remember much. And according to my remembrance, all these sports I have played in my schooling, and I have run many races, achieved shot puts, and 100 meters, 200 meters, 400 meters, every game that I have participated. It's kind of very enthu and energetic for me. So now I believe that many of you should have played like me. It is not like boys playing much and girls playing much. It is equal. So you would have enjoyed in a different manner, and we would have enjoyed in a different manner. We play very wild. Boys play very rough games, very wild games, and it is very different from girls playing sport. But anyhow, we would have all come across all these kinds of sport. And one question I want to put forward is that, for what are we playing all these sports? So for what are we playing all these sports? Football, cricket, badminton, tennis, tennis-court, any kind of game. For what are we playing those? Mind free, gives more energy, to think different. Are there any other things other than that? So for what are we playing those sports? And the other question is, what do we get out of it? What do we get out of it? So after playing them, what do we get from it? Sorry? The answer may be wrong, right, no problem. Sorry? Something we have achieved something. But we don't play in our sports day very just casually, simply. Maybe few of them, few of the other people might play just for fun, but we don't play in our sports day or any interesting event or any college culturals, college sports day just for a fun or simply, right? Though we might play sports for fun, but when it comes to sports day, when it is PT time, playing time, that is different. We have a different mindset of playing. But when it comes to sports day, our perspective, our aim, our goal, and our way of playing, method of playing, all the strategies differs. So, though we might play sports for fun, for PT, for playing time, when it comes to sports day or any event or big or higher level of game, something we expect from it, right? We don't just play for fun, we don't play for just casually, but we expect something out of it. For example, a state level player who is representing Tamil Nadu, Delhi, Kerala, Karnataka, any state. So a state level player is aiming for something in his sports. In his sport, whatever field that he chooses to play, he is aiming something out of it. And when we take a national level player, he is aiming and expecting something out of his game, out of his sport, out of his labor. And an international player is expecting and focusing on something from his sport. An Olympic player expects something out of his sport. So each and every single player is expecting something from his sport. He is expecting something from his hard work, and he is expecting something from his pain. So I'm not talking about these players aiming for or expecting money or expecting fame and honor, but something higher than all of these. So I'm not talking about players who are just aiming for money, fame, how to get rich and all the other things, but something higher they are expecting and they are working for it. So all these players, these national and states and international Olympic players, all these players does not play for vain, for simply, for fun, for relaxation. They don't play for all these things, for time pass and other things. So these players do not play for fun, and when we take and place ourselves and look at, you see, playing with our friends near our home is different, right? Just taking all the sticks, some bat and ball, or taking any tennis-court or volleyball, any shuttle, that is different. But when we look at these state, national level and international Olympic players, they expect something greater. They expect something special. They expect something wonderful in their sport. So let us look at what the Bible teaches us regarding today's message, and let us all turn our Bibles to 1 Corinthians chapter 9 verse 24. 1 Corinthians chapter 9 verse 24. Do you not know that in a race all the runners run, but only one gets the prize? Run in such a way as to get the prize. So I read it once again. Do you not know that in a race all the runners run, but only one gets the prize? Run in such a way as to get the prize. So this is the special verse which I was talking about all this time. Apostle Paul writes to the people in Corinth this one. Apostle Paul puts this particular verse here because there is something that stirred up his heart to write this. So St. Paul very well know about sports, about race, about running, about wrestling, and all the other things. So he was aware of all these sports that were happening at that time, and we will learn about this little later. So what happened? So the first line we will meditate, verse 24. Do you not know that in a race all the runners run? Apostle Paul writes that, do you not know that in a race all runners run? Runners run. So he puts forward a question. Do you not know? So this question tells us that the people, the church in Corinth, those people already knew what a race is all about. So they were aware of races, running, and how to run a race, what is a race and how it will happen, what are its nature and everything. So people were just aware of all these incidents about racing and everything. So Apostle Paul just reminds those people in Corinth about a race which they are familiar with. So Apostle Paul was talking to the people in Corinth, not something some heavenly words, some kind of very strange words, but some incident that is already been known to the people. So he was reminding those people about that. So when we talk about some state or some other place in our country, as soon as I tell any place in Tamil Nadu, what you people get? Any special kind of thing in that place. So when we take Madurai, immediately something special out from that place comes to our mind. So once I say Tirunelveli or Kanyakumari, we either statue or any special food or any special place or any special something, some dress or anything that comes to our mind. So like Kanchipuram means famous for silk sarees. Yeah. So if I come and tell you about all these things and tell you that, see, you already know about what is famous in Kanchipuram, you will immediately understand, oh okay, he's talking about this silk sarees. And if I come to you and tell about, in Tirunelveli, this is kind of famous, so you already know that something is famous in Tirunelveli, you immediately understand that, oh, he's talking about some food in Tirunelveli. So like similar thing. So if I tell the same thing to a foreigner, what will he understand? So if some foreigner comes and sits here and I'm talking about, do you know something which is special in Tirunelveli? He will just look at me and just will be shocked, confused, or look at me very strange, because he know me, or he very barely know some places, but he's not familiar with all those things. So as soon as I tell the thing, the understanding of that thing will be different from yours, and the understanding of that same topic will be different from that foreigner. So in the same way, when Apostle Paul spoke about race, running, all the other things, the people in Corinth, the church in Corinth, they already were aware of what Paul was talking about. So he puts forward a question, do you not know? So we see Apostle Paul just reminded those people. He just reminded. So this is what you already know. This I am talking about this. So in a running race, all people who are trained and have registered their names participate in the race, right? Either it may be a school race or a college cultural or college sports day or any national, international, Olympic. First thing is, people should give their names. They must register their names. So not just coming while the race is happening and just telling those officials that I am also a good runner and I want to participate. They won't allow you. Yeah. So they don't get your name on the register and they will just pull you out. So people who have trained for that running and people whose names are there in that book on the registers, they get a chance to prove themselves in the race. So only such people can participate in a race. So he puts all the runners. So all the runners can participate. So not just people who are idle, who are very old can participate. There are limitations and scopes as of who can participate in this race, right? So if I place some 95-year-old grandfather and grandmother in a running race, what they can do? They will just stumble and fall down. So there is a limitation as well as there are criteria for it. So all people who have registered, who have trained and who are qualified according to the norms of the games, only they can participate. Not common people who know something about games, though they cannot participate. So any untrained person, he cannot participate in a race. Only a trained person can do. So in a race, what do the runners do? What do the runners do in a running race? They run. In a running race, people run. So in a running race, what do the runners do is they run the race. They run. So running is the thing that the runners do. Running. So their job is to run, not to walk. They don't walk. They don't jog. Those things are in the practice sessions. In a race, they don't walk. They run. So though there are many sports, St. Paul chooses this particular sports, running race. He had some intention behind that. He intended something out of it. So, and we also see, but only the second part of it, but only one gets the prize. 24th verse, do you not know that in a race all the runners run? All these times that we looked and meditated, we looked this first part, and now we will look at the second part. But only one gets the prize. This line is something beautiful because Paul puts like, but only one gets the prize. I think that it is not just a simple word that Paul puts for us. It has some meaning inside of it. So it doesn't matter how many people participate in the race, how much trained the runners are, or how much skillful they are, but at the end of the race, only one gets the prize, right? Only one person is eligible for getting that prize. So it doesn't matter how young people are, how old people are. Runners, they would have run before and have got many titles. So runners with fame, great titles run the race. It doesn't matter. Just want to tell you a small example. In a marathon race, how many of you watched or participated in a marathon race? It will happen in Thiruvanmiyur Beach and in Marina Beach once in a year. I think in Independence Day or the Republic Day. So how many of you have went and watched or participated? So it will be interesting. I just saw some few clips on the news channels and on the internet. So I wish to participate in one of the marathons, but I did not get any opportunity because I did not try to go there. So in a marathon race, hundreds of people participate, right? So in a school competition, it's different. Just some 10 or 5 to 10 people participate. In a Olympic, it will be like kind of 8 to 10 tracks. 10 people probably will just participate. In a marathon, it is not 10 or 15 or 20. It will be hundreds of people participating in that race. So they trained themselves. They trained themselves very hard. So they practice a strict practice. They undergo strict practice. This marathon race I'm talking about is not just simple common people participating. It is of trained people, athletes participating in marathon. So they train themselves very harder. They undergo many strict disciplines. They train themselves very hard. They have food control, right? They don't eat all kinds of food, junk foods and all the other things. They train themselves and strict themselves in every situation. They have food control. The continuous training will be there for them. Not just going once in a month and just lifting up dumbbells and weightlifting, jogging and walking. Each and every day they have to strain, they have to shed their sweat on the floor. So on the day of marathon race, all these people stand behind the same starting point, right? So the officials won't allow people to just begin their race in the middle of the track. Every person who is willing to participate in that, every athlete who is willing to participate, they should stand behind the starting line or the starting point. So when the race starts, everyone runs, of course. So no one will be idle without running, because they have been trained for running all these years. And this marathon race for athletes, it won't happen very often. This some 6 months once, or once in 3 months, once in 6 months, once in 12 months, once in a year. So the great marathon athletes, they don't often run to this race, because they have to move many kilometers, 50, 100, 150. There are many things to run, many rules for that. So they have been trained from the beginning to run a race. It is not just a race where people can relax themselves on the way. Once they start the race, only at the end of that race, at the end point, they will be able to stop the race. So for years together, for days together, for months together, they have been trained, very strict disciplines, food controls and every other disciplinary things. Once the shutter or once the gun is being triggered and shot on the air, or once the clapboard is being clapped, these people won't stay behind the line and just allow other people to run. They won't cheer up, because it is their race. Though hundreds of people participate in that race, every person's heart and mind and their emotions will be reaching that prize, reaching the goal. So they won't be idle standing, or they won't be simply just joining the race, but they have a purpose for it. So everything is well and good. All these things are well and good, but at the finishing point, so people training themselves, just making themselves harder, training, food control, everything, all these things are fine, but at the finishing point, only one person gets the gold medal, right? There is only one criteria, and the gold medal won't go for everybody who has participated in that race. Gold medal is for the one person who reaches first. So there are 3 places in a sport, prizes. Of course, you know all these things: gold, silver, and you don't watch any sports, any Olympic games. First place is gold. The second place is, third place is bronze. So any kind of sport, game, anything, these 3 stages are the most higher ranks: gold, silver and bronze. The first place is gold, either medal or cup, anything. The first place is always gold. So not everyone who runs the marathon race receives this gold medal, right? Not all the 100 people getting the gold medal and going away, but only one runner attains it. And it is very interesting, out of hundreds of people who have equally trained, so only one gets the gold medal, and that is the rule of the game. The rule and the criteria of the game, the rule is that a gold medal is for sure, but to the person who reaches first. There is a norm, there is a criteria for attaining the goal. So take any game that we all know. It has rules and regulations. So you cannot bypass some rules and play. So if at all you and I bypass or overdo any rule, or overplay anything, referees will be there, right? The officials in the Olympics, we see many officials watching closely at these athletes. If at all they just do any wrong move, or before the gun triggers and shots, if they start their race, they won't be given another chance. They will be disqualified out of the game. So that is the rule and regulation. So at the last, only one gets the prize. So when we look at the background of this, we will be surprised to know why Paul spoke about this running race. In Greek culture, in the time of Alexander the Great, we see Hellenization started. Hellenization is nothing but the enforcement of Greek culture's language and other things on the Greek minds into the other nation and into the other people's life in the other countries. So Hellenization, Greek Hellenization is very common. Once you read the history, we come to know that Alexander and all the successors of him enforced their culture, Greek culture, into other cultures. So the language, they just enforced into other people, the culture, the games and sports. So Greeks and later Romans introduced gymnastics and sports. Maybe sports maybe in long time ago, before even these Greeks and Romans, but to a structure, these Greeks and Romans formed these gymnastics and sports. So these sports and gymnastics introduced by these Greeks and the Romans just pulled many youngsters inside. So till the time, these youngsters had very limited scope of enjoyment in their lives. So they will be going to a philosopher and reading something. That's it. This new thing pulled many youngsters inside, and many youths participated in different sports at that time. And the people who wins any game will be crowned with the pine leaves or any olive leaves. So that was the gift, and also they received prize amount or any kind of thing that is equivalent to today's kind of money or something. They received prize from the authorities, the officials who run that sport, or from the governors. So from the top officials, they received all these prize and the titles and the crown which were there made for them. So when we come back and see what St. Paul tells us, that Paul reminds all these things to the people in Corinth and to us. He is just reminding, as I have told you before, the first place is very much important in a race. And the person gets entitled, fame, prize, reputation, glory and honor only when he gets the first place. So people don't talk much about the second place and the third place and people who participate in the race, but every media and every camera and every lens, every mic, every reporter, everyone's eyes will be fixed and focused on this first place, this first medalist. So nobody cares for the other people. So just imagine, just think how much important it is to get the first place, to get the prize. So the last part of the verse 24, it says that run in such a way as to get the prize. Run in such a way as to get the prize. It does not say get the prizes in plural. So run in such a way that you get some other prize, or you get some prize. Like in VBS we give Ardal Prize. It's kind of small gift for people this to encourage them. So it's kind of encouraging prize. So Paul here does not talk about this kind of prize. So some kind of participate certificate or any prizes. He talks about first place. So run in such a way as to get that first medal, the first place, that prize. So when a race is started, everyone who participates starts a race to achieve the prize, of course, right? So no one runs simply. So they all begin the race to achieve the prize. So when the race gets heated, once the clubboard has been clapped or the trigger has been shooted, the race gets heated, one by one, people who runs the race slows down in the middle, right? The energy which is at the beginning will not be the same at the end. So it will just reduces, slows down little by little. At the starting stage, these athletes will have full energy. At the middle stage, while they are in the halfway, they will have half energy. And once they reach the end stage, they are drained up with the energy. So there are people who lose their hope eventually on their way. On the way to reach the goal, they lose their hope of getting or to achieve the first place or the prize. So they lose their energy, aim, focus, and become weak. So some change their minds on the way, right? If hundreds of people are going there and he is just in the 70th or the 80th place, he comes to a conclusion that, see, before me there are so many people who are running before me. I don't think that I won't get that prize. So they change their minds. So let me slow down. So what am I going to get out of all my hard running? So on their way, they change their mind. So some people think that just we will complete the race, that's it. That will be enough for us. So to just get at least the third prize, some people aim for this level. So at the starting stage, everyone's focus will be getting the first place. And when the race gets heated up and the energy drains little by little, all these struggles come. The people who run and lose their hope and lost their hope, they come to a conclusion that at least I should get third place. His aim is not to get the first place or the second place. His ultimate aim out of that sport at that race is to get the third place. And to some people, at least second place, that will be enough for me. So for other people, for some, just some participation certificate is enough for me, so that I can show to my relatives that I have run a race in my school, in my college. So that will be the entire goal. So but there will be very, very small number of people who aim for only the first place. Very minimum number of people, very few, some handful of people aim for that level. So at last, after all, only one gets that place. So Apostle Paul tells us to be that one person. So he wants the people of Corinth, the church in Corinth, as well as for us, to be that one person who is always aiming for that one first place. So whose mind, focus and aim is only at the prize, the first place. He does not change his mind. The person whose focus is on the first place, he starts with that same aim. On the way, he does not change his mind. And once he reaches the prize, he just snatches this first place. So, this is what Apostle Paul says. Run not without any purpose or aim. So, but with the purpose of achieving and aiming and reaching the first place. So when we talk about present time, as we run a race as runners, so there is less number of people who are aiming for that first place. So just Paul tells us, reminds us that run your race not without any purpose or aim. Many people we have seen, they run their life without any purpose. What is your purpose in your life? I don't know. I'm just simply going there. I'm just simply studying this. I'm just simply being in this church. So what is the purpose of you being in this place? They don't have any answer. All they know is to just participate in some race, some certificate. That's it. To just lead a life. That's it. They don't have any aim in their lives. So without purpose and aim, you may be well trained to run a race. You may be well capable of running a race. But once you lose your aim, or once you don't have any aim and purpose in your life, your race is of vain, is of waste. Running a race just for sake of running. So when we ask people that why are you living, what is the purpose of your living, they tell that my dad and mom just introduced me to this world and I am just living in this place. I don't have any much purpose. I just want to satisfy my stomach with food, today's food. I just want to work in some company, on some organization, in some area, and I just want some money to lead my life. That's it. That is my ultimate goal. But as we run our life, and as we followers of Christ, we have a greater goal before us. We don't run as it is for fun. We don't lead our lives for fun, for simply, or for relaxation. We don't run for such kind of thing. We have something before us. So as we run a race, when we just overall look, there is very less chance of people who begin the race with the same attitude, the same mind, and who run their Christian life with the same attitude and finish off their race peacefully and get that level prize, that first place. So you would have seen many quotes about life, and as I was going through, I just was reminded of this quote: life is a race. Life is a race. Someone said this, I don't know who is that, but it is very popular one. Life is a race, run. So our aim while running a Christian life is to attain that prize, to attain something greater. So today, all of us have purpose in all our lives. God has not created us for simply, for fun. He did not create us for fun, for simply to run simple life, but to attain a greater purpose in our life. So we all run in Christ and for Christ. That is the matter. We all run in Christ. Why do we run in Christ? Is because to attain Christ, it's Himself. So we are running in Christ, and for Christ we are running. So our aim is to get that gold medal from Christ. So at the day, there will be a day of the second coming, and God will take all His saints and followers to His place, and it is about getting first place, and getting that level is in our hands. God has given a beautiful life in all our hands. So each life, each person has that full, complete freedom to lead your life. Right? You can decide for yourself what to do, what not to do. So once we reach Christ and once we reach heaven, God should give us that first place. So you have run a great race, a great Christian life, a great moral life, ethical life. So out of so many of the people in the world, you chose to focus your mind on me. So Christ is our crown. Christ is our crown. We run for that one reason. So Christian life is all about running for Christ. So in heaven we all get crown as people. Olympic players and national, international players get a crown and a medal. We all get a prize once we complete a race. So there will be stumbling. People will be exhausted. We will all be exhausted at some point of time. We will get loneliness, low in spirit. So sometimes aim just misses this direction or that direction. And many things happen along the way we run. So it is not, a Christian life is not a running very smooth life. Yes, of course, we have struggles, we have problems. Is there anyone who can raise your hands and tell that from my childhood I have never experienced any sorrow or any sadness? Please, I want to look at you. Is there any people? Even great rich people, they undergo some sorrow in their lives. They struggle with something. Even the rich and the poor, and the middle class, the higher class and the lower class, it may be any kind of people, any class, it may be any race, any ethnicity, any culture, any nation, any group of people. No one among all these people will be happier in every time. They too undergo sorrow. So that is what Bible tells that in this world you have struggles. But fear not, I have overcome the world. Which means that Christ also ran that same race before us. 2000 years ago, Jesus Christ, the Son of God, he ran that same race, running race, and he finished his race and have gained the glory of God, the first place. He did not miss his aim and purpose, and his purpose was to accomplish the will of the Father. So Christ completed that race before us, and he is our forerunner. Also, Apostle Paul is our forerunner because he has already run his race and have finished, and that is what he tells that I have fought a good fight. I have won a good race. I have attained that crown. So, I just want to remind you that in this world we will struggle. We have struggles, barriers. We will have pain, suffering, happiness, sorrow, every kind of emotions mixed up. But God gives us strength and gives us that purpose and gives that meaning for our running. So all the people around us, they run without reason, hope, without aim and purpose. But as we follower of Christ and as we run for Christ and in Christ for that first place, we know for what we are running, for what purpose we are running, for what we are aiming, and for what we are there in this world. So remember 3 things from this race, from this sports message. First thing, aiming. Second, training. Third, getting. Aiming, training, and getting. I just want to simply conclude this. Just put it in simple words. Aiming is, you know that a race is happening and you are willing to participate in that game, in any running race and marathon, any kind of thing. Once you receive a call or once you approach that sport and once you are registered in that thing, you are aiming for something, right? So the people who are running, everybody's mind will be aiming for that place, first place at the initial stage. So time passes and the race gets heated up. Aim misses for some people. First thing that we need to understand is that have good aim. Aiming is important. So without aiming, there is no purpose of running. We just run simply. So will the Olympic or the sports officials give a prize to a person who runs outside of the stadium? So will any official give the first place to the person who runs out of the track? Hey, this fellow runs beautifully, but in his near his home is a great athlete. Will they ever count that person? Person who runs on the track with the rules. So aiming is important. So to such people, the prize is being given. So any athlete, as we, the follower of Christ, every person is an athlete, is a runner. And we run a race not without aiming, but we have aim. Second one is after aiming, not just moving and just going on relaxing. We have to train ourselves. So training is more important. Aiming and training. Because the next stage of aiming is training. Only when we train ourselves, as athletes train themselves in food, in gym, in weightlifting, in all the jogging, walking, and everything, breathing exercise, training is much important while running. And finally, aiming and training, most of the people do that. But getting is difficult for them. Some people just aiming in their life, that's it. They don't train for the prize. They just keep on dreaming that they have been awarded, they have been put a garland and a gold medal in their dreams. They have a good aim, but they don't train themselves for that prize. People who train, they don't get most of them. So as Christians, we follower of Christ, we have to be focused on that particular prize, and reaching them is what the end of the Christian life is all about. So aiming and training without getting the prize and entering into heaven, Christ won't allow us to to be participate in kingdom of God. So aiming, training, and getting the prize. So in all these things, remember, purpose and aim and strength and energy and focus should not be away. It has to be in this first stage, aiming, the focus has to be this. And in each and every stage, aiming, training, and getting, till we reach the prize, our focus should be on single thing, that is the first place. I just encourage you all to focus not on the participation certificate or the second place, but aim at the first place, and Christ and the Spirit of God allows us and leads us to that place. It is all up to the Lord in prayer.